Call the meeting to order, the July 30th meeting of the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors. We'll all rise, and Bill Lee is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is our public input session. We open this session up for anyone to bring up any matters to the board that are not on our agenda for tonight. So if there's any issue someone would like to discuss and it is not on our agenda tonight, now would be the time. We allow 3 minutes for the presentation time, and that will be tracked, and you'll be alerted when that time gets close. So we're going to open up that public input session right now. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Is there any online, Glenn?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we will now close that public input session and go to the next item on our agenda, which brings up our Virginia Department of Transportation report. And Hunter is here filling in for David and Mike, who are not able to be with us tonight. Thank you, Hunter.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening. I'm just going to go over our July maintenance report with you guys. So we completed some brush removal, pipe cleaning, asphalt patching, pothole patching countywide, tree trimming, storm debris, and address work orders. Upcoming, we're going to be doing some more brush removal, pipe cleaning, shoulder stabilization, and continuing to address work orders. We got a couple updates on our projects. As you guys know, our paving schedule is underway for plant mix, Cape Seal, and our surface treatment routes, I think, just started. So you'll see them throughout the next couple months, finishing up the paving schedule. For projects that we have updates on, the Route 3 in Pinkersville turn lane, as you guys might have saw, the turn lane, or the flower shop got demoed. No more updates for anything further on that one. Just further up the road on Pinkersville, the alignment with Crawford's Corner, there's going to be a design public hearing August 26th from 5 to 7 at the elementary school in Kilmarnock. Let's see. The Oyster Creek Bridge replacement on Windmill Point. Dominion is currently out there replacing utilities, and we did get word that it got pushed back, the start date for construction, to August 10th. I think before it was August 3rd. And also on Windmill Point, there is currently a speed study underway from pretty much the section of Fleets Island. I think we've got all the reports and data in. Our traffic engineering team is finalizing the report and the recommendation for that. The box culvert replacement on River Road, Route 354 this week, and I think this past week they've been working on setting the box culvert and the wing walls, and the contract finish date for that is supposed to be September 2nd. So hopefully they finish that up here in the next month or so. And the update on Norris is pretty much the demolition of Willoughby's, which you guys probably have noticed in the past couple weeks. So I think that's all I got.
Are they still planning the fall design public input on that, or they?
On the Norris?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I'd have to check with David. So.
Any other questions for Hunter?
Could you check with David too to see if he have any more information on the stop sign at the corner, what we call Pittman's Corner? It's called Old Salem Road and 200. We had requested, I know it went to engineer, VDOT engineer, like moving that stop sign. And also-
Right there on 200 and Old Salem?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
coming out of the Christchurch Road side, or the
Yeah.
west side.
Yeah, okay.
Moving that. And on the opposite corner, on Old Salem and 200, the shoulder, the pavement has crumbled all the way over to that white line. So need to take, I got a picture, you can have a picture of it.
Okay. Oh, I see it all along the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get that fixed up for you.
All right.
And that's on Old Salem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hunter, I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
As well. The first question is, my neighbors in the village of Weems are asking when the lines will go down. The blacktop looks really nice,
Right.
but I assume it's soon.
Yeah, I can check on that for you. Typically, when all the pavement's done, they'll have like a line truck go throughout the
Oh, and
counties
do all of it at
then
one time?
do them all at once that they need to. But I can kind of get an estimate for you.
And I spoke with Mr. Beal, I don't know if it was the last meeting, it may have been the meeting before, about the possibility of looking into lowering the speed limit from Irvington to Kilmarnock from 55 to 45. And that's in lieu of some deaths that have happened in car accidents. And now with the new school going in and Hills Quarters growing, a lot of traffic is on that road now.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely look into that.
Hunter, I did see them putting lines down where they had repaved along the dual lanes this afternoon, so I know they were doing that this afternoon.
Okay.
What about the possibility of now looking into or pursuing speed cameras in the school zone there along Route 200, which is a possibility?
I mean, we can look into that.
How does that interface with you all?
I think it's Blue Line Solutions is
That's what,
maybe the
yeah.
main guy that does most of the other counties. You guys will work with them.
And then they'll work through
And,
some approval with you
Yeah,
all?
they'll apply for the permit with us. Our traffic engineers will review the signage and the layout, and then once they get an approval from that, they can install them.
Who receives the revenue from the speeding tickets? Is it the state or the county?
It's a good question.
Because I've
I
paid a
believe
couple.
it's a shared revenue with the
It-
county
it
and
is.
and
It is,
the
okay.
Shared.
company. That's how it works. It's one avenue we could pursue to look at controlling the speed there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be good. Any other questions, anybody? All right, thank you, Hunter, for being with us.
Yeah, that's no problem.
All right.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like.
I got a wife and baby.
I'm just messing.
All right, next item on our agenda is, we have a really special event tonight. We are honoring the retirement of Betty Stevens, who has been our accounts administrator from 2008 through 2026. And I want to read this plaque that we're going to present her here in just a few minutes. Presented to Betty S. Stevens by the Board of Supervisors on July 30, 2026, in recognition of and appreciation for your dedicated service to the County of Lancaster as its accounts administrator from June 1, 2008 through July 31, 2026. So Betty, if you can come up and join us, we'd like to present this to you.
Come on down here.
Betty, right here. That first is for you,
Okay, thank you.
and then this is the plaque. Smile, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. John, you gonna give me one?
Congratulations, Betty.
I'm jealous.
Don, we can recall you next month if you want.
I can't.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Don't get too much trouble.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Call me to do that.
okay, sorry. I thought
No, that's
we
all
did
right,
it
that's all
there.
right.
All right, the next item on our agenda is Katie Boyle with the Virginia Association of Counties with an Achievement Award for the Windmill Point Project.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of county staff, and guests, good evening, and thank you so much for having me with you tonight. It's a beautiful day to be in Lancaster County. As was mentioned, my name's Katie Boyle. I'm the Deputy Director at the Virginia Association of Counties, and it's my privilege to be here with you tonight to present you with a 2026 VACO Achievement Award. We very much appreciate Lancaster County's longstanding support and partnership with VACO. We were honored to have Supervisor Bellows as our president a few years ago, as you know. And so we know you're very familiar with us, but for the benefit of your constituents and those watching at home who may not be familiar with us, VACO has existed since 1934, and our mission is to serve and support your efforts as county officials. We support counties in several key ways, first being through our advocacy efforts at the state and federal levels. We also serve counties through our educational programs, our member services, and our communications efforts. We established the Achievement Award program in 2003 to recognize counties that had adopted innovative approaches to providing public services and identifying programs that could serve as models for other counties. So we had a distinguished panel of judges who volunteered to serve for us this year, and they considered 4 criteria when making awards. First, does the program offer an innovative solution to a problem or the delivery of services? Second, does the program promote intergovernmental cooperation or cooperation with private enterprise? Third, does the program provide a model that other local governments could learn from or implement in their own localities? And fourth, does the program represent an innovative approach or a customization of a program from another public or private entity? So this has traditionally been a very competitive program, and that was our experience this year as well. We had 103 entries, and we selected 40 winning projects from only 26 counties. So very proud to report that Lancaster County was among that small group of winning counties. This year's winning project, as you mentioned, is the Windmill Point County Maritime Recreational Campus. So I think your staff will elaborate a little bit more on the project, but just to give a snapshot of what caught our judges' attention, this is a project that involved years of careful planning and nurturing of partnerships, as you all well know. It meets a number of your community goals of mitigating coastal flooding and erosion, increasing access to public waters, providing quality recreational opportunities to residents, and preserving open space and protecting natural resources. Required strong partnerships with landowners, state and federal agencies, your planning district commission, as well as creative approaches to leveraging your available funding. Looks like a beautiful place from the pictures that I saw, truly a wonderful amenity for your community. So I'll turn things over to Mr. Bateman on your staff to share some more thoughts, but please allow me to congratulate you on behalf of VACO on an excellent project. And at the appropriate time, I brought a plaque with me to recognize your achievement that I would love to present. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you, thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you all know, this was a project that was 25 years in the making. Westland Beach was once home to a vibrant hotel, beach, and public access, and over the years, due to coastal erosion, whittled away into the Chesapeake Bay. Over the course of this 20 years, the county set a goal to accomplish a project there to arrest the erosion and create some resilience for both the public and private property. In the last 5 years, county staff have worked diligently through hazard mitigation, resilience planning, comprehensive planning, and strategic planning to set this project apart as a priority for the county. It really does exemplify the 4 pillars of what the Virginia Association of Counties is trying to achieve with this Achievement Awards. And I think it really does us justice to win this award on behalf of other counties and those who dedicated their time to review this project. So congratulations to this board and to staff for a well-done, well-achieved project through diligent planning.
Great, thank you. So congratulations again, and this is our plaque that we brought to present.
I'll smile now.
To keep the board from getting up several times, we've got 3 other awards, all related to the Windmill Point project that we'd like to have a picture taken while we do that.
Yeah.
I'll take that one out. This is a NACO Achievement Award. So, you want to, I think we're all proud that we have all of them.
I agree. And
Yeah, let's do all of them.
the county received the prestigious American Planning Association State of Virginia Resilient Community of the Year.
John and Jason picked that up on Tuesday. And we just got notified today that the Windmill Point Westland Beach project was first place for Best of the River winner. Everybody knows the river insert in the Rappahannock River, so. Yeah.
And we also want a NACO Achievement Award.
That's what you got right there.
All right, smile, guys.
Do you want me to get one with you guys?
Yeah.
I think Olivia Hall should come up.
Okay.
This is something that we've worked on for half a decade.
Bruce, you want to come on?
I think
Bruce, come on up. Yeah, come on.
Okay, we're gonna have a couple of people in front. Okay, I'm sure.
You sure?
You're fine, you're fine.
Thank you.
You got more parts coming?
Got more of them coming.
Very nice.
That's good. Got all the pictures. And it's all related to. It's good.
Now you're gonna need more office wall space.
Yeah, if I was gonna put them on public display.
Trophy case at the other place now.
Trophy case.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Our staff ought to be very, very proud of those accomplishments. We really appreciate that.
Well, we couldn't have done it without the board's direction.
That's right.
Well, it takes a team.
And the community support.
Yep, yep, very much so.
I would just say beneficiaries are the citizens.
Yeah.
What you guys do is go on the Earth Camp and see how many people every day are joining them.
That's great. That is really great. Good to hear.
Yes.
Job well done.
All right, yep. John, you're next on the agenda. That was perfect lead-in for you on our county projects update.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, happy to provide some updates on our various parks and recreational projects that are currently underway. Starting with Windmill Point County Maritime Recreational Campus, as you just heard. We've won several awards this year for this project, well-deserved, and congratulations. Moving on, Harper's Creek Park and Working Waterfront Complex will be hosting the Northern Neck Power and Sail Squadron. They're filming a boater safety video at the site. And the site will be featured in that video. That's next Wednesday, August the 5th. And between 11 and 1, Dredge will be on site with their food truck. And also noting that you have Still Kickin' Seafood down there, so if you go to Nate's and pick up some seafood. Taylor Creek Park update. Current upcoming activity, Docks of the Bay completion and marine improvements, tentative August or early September of 2026. Franklin Mechanical is currently doing the buildings, paving and landscaping, tentative completion October or early November of 2026, with substantial and final completion tentative November, early December of 2026. So making a lot of progress, and I'll show you some pictures. Forgive the quality of these. These were, I had to take these off of a PDF. But this is showing the entrance to the park off to the right and one of the walkways. This is showing some of the path, the walkways that are going to be featured. This is those walkways going on down towards the water.
So what's going to hold these banks? Are they going to build some kind of retaining on these banks?
Yes, it is a retaining wall. They're waiting to put that in until Docks of the Bay finishes their work. They don't want it to get damaged.
Thank you. This shows the waterfront, and you'll see this. This is the area where our amenity will be down there, and similar, I believe there'll be retaining structures built there. This is Docks of the Bay working on that on the shoreline, and I'll have some better photos here in a second of that from the water, courtesy of Mr. Bruce Julian. This is the beginnings of the shoreline stabilization that'll support the infrastructure that's going down on the water. This is a bit of a peeled back photo of that same work. And then here coming up the creek. So as you can see, this project is moving along very rapidly, and it's going to be a beautiful waterfront amenity from the look of the pictures even now. Do you have any questions for this park? Moving on to Carter Cove County Park. This is construction status update meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, so we'll know a little bit more about the upcoming timeline. But initially, substantial completion target of February 2027. Groundbreaking ceremony was held on July 17th. And the county administrator signed an agreement with Friends of the Rappahannock to operate an oyster program on the site. Here's a picture of our groundbreaking ceremony. It's a picture of the signing ceremony. As you can see, progress is moving along quite nicely with grading and leveling occurring. These are the blocks for the comfort station and the markouts for the foundation of the comfort station. These are some more photos courtesy of Mr. Bruce Julian from the water showing work along the shoreline. You can see the stabilization effort is beginning with the placement of stone. And here it is from the other side of the site. Any questions about Carter Cove progress?
Those piles of oyster shells there, were they part of the work done there, or were they brought in to be used later?
It's an oyster bin.
They were existing,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
when they dug that out, they're trying to repurpose some of that.
That's what I figured, but I was just wondering.
Yep.
Okay.
Olivia, you have to talk about our new practice there. We're gonna soften the looks of that
Oh.
riprap, and we're gonna apply those oyster shells over the
Right.
rock to make it look like it did before we started.
That's good. Okay. That is. Well, good. Thank you.
Moving on to our Chesapeake Trail Park update. We've moved into the process of trying to select a bidder, so the county will publish an invitation to bid on August 13th. Receive bids around September 17th with a target of awarding a contract by the September board meeting. And then there'll be some construction contract preparation and a period of substantial completion targeted for November through July of 2027, with a construction final completion in July of August of 2027. So more solid timeline for the completion of that project. Any questions? Just Hills Quarter Tennis Park update. There hasn't been much done here. Just updating you all that the Northern Neck Racket Association and Dead Rise Disc Golf plan to fall under the umbrella of the Dream Chasers United once they receive their 501c3 designation. The Northern Neck Racket Association has received its 501c3 designation and is now ready to start a capital campaign to fund the project. Triway Trail, Phase 1B, Middlegate to Compass, firm selection and announcement coming soon. We received 2 bids from Timmons Group and Kimley Horn. We actually plan to we plan to start preliminary engineering for both Phase 1B and Phase 1C to coincide with one another. So those will be done at the same time to accelerate the process. As you know, the county received $2.1 million in transportation alternatives funds, and there'll be an announcement by Senator Warner on this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Hills Quarter Clubhouse. Phase 2 planning continues. Again, that was a subject of some Chesapeake Gateways funding through the National Park Service, and we're currently working with the affected property owners to negotiate letters of intent to sign a right-of-way agreement so that we can move forward with preliminary planning and right-of-way design. Any questions there? And that's all I have for my parks update.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Next item on our agenda is a request for our Eagle artifact from Steamboat Lancaster by Mr. Owen Lanier.
If you haven't seen the Eagle, it's just outside this door to the right, but it weighs about 100 pounds, so we didn't bring it in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Owen Lanier. I'm the Executive Director of the Steamboat Era Museum, and I will let John jump in if he wants to, because I was actually first approached about this artifact by John at the Irvington Business Association meeting held at the museum. And he asked me here tonight to give you all a little bit of background about the steamer Lancaster and then what we'd do with the artifact if given the opportunity to display it. Perhaps now that I can go and observe it, what kind of conservation will need to be done, if any. I want to take you to a time before there were major sports teams, before there were huge identifying rallying points like cities or, sports teams is the best analogy there. Back in the day, there we have hundreds of interviews at the museum of people talking about how steamboats, they could tell what they were by the whistles, and they rooted for certain steamboats. And certainly for Lancaster County, it was the Lancaster, which you can see on your screen now. She was built in 1892 by the Maryland Steam Company. She was the first steel-bottomed steamboat on the Rappahannock River, and she did so well at her job that she was built for $113,000 back then, which comes out to about $4 million today. And within 12 months, she was completely paid off. So that should tell you how popular a steamer she was. There were 1,000 spectators to see her launch, and she carried 177 passengers. In 1905, the Lancaster, after several years on the river, was sold to the Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia Railroad Company, which might explain why you can see rail ties in that photo. And if we go to the next picture, I meant to say it originally started out as the Weems Steamboat Company. So neighbors in Weems, hello. She started out here. And if we go to the next picture, that's a floor plan over. A funny note, that saloon, that big blank space up front, was specifically constructed to look like an English pub. So think about that. And then if we go to the next slide, she sailed the river for about 20 years here on the Rappahannock. She never went off of her course, carrying passengers, but more importantly, she was key to the economy. So when visitors come into our museum in Irvington, I tell them to imagine a time when there was no Walmart, there was no Amazon, no UPS, the roads were not paved. And to get anything and to go anywhere, you relied on steamboat travel, and that is what the Lancaster did for this county. And if we go to the next photo, that is her there at Irvington Wharf. So she has a very tangible connection to a lot of the towns that dot this county that y'all visit, look over, and look after. And if we go to the next photograph, that is the Lancaster in the later years of her life after she was sold to the Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia Railroad Company. You can see the eagle up on the pilot house that now sits right outside your meeting space. And if we go to the next slide, that is her in Kilmarnock, I believe, and the eagle is still present. And if we go to the next slide, this is where the mystery begins, and this is where my research kind of ended. I know that the eagle was donated to Judge Wright, or at least Mr. Bateman found a note that it was donated to Thomas Roane Wright, who was the Superior Court judge, I believe, for this county, Essex County, and Northumberland County. I don't know how he got it. I hope to continue to do that research. I hear tell that he was a very well-connected man, but in 1910, he was at the later end of his life. And in 1914, the Virginia Chronicle published that his life, his career actually, in big bold letters, Juris career ends in death. So that might explain why the trail kind of goes cold, because he only had it for a couple years. In 1923, the Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia Company declared bankruptcy. The Lancaster, like a lot of things of value, was sold to a New Yorker, and she was scrapped or abandoned in 1928, right before the stock market crash. That's a picture of her hull, and if we go to the next slide, that's all that remained over in the 1970s. I think you could find Bigfoot in that photo. It's not the clearest thing in the world, but those are parts of her steel hull still laid up on the beach. So that means today, the only really tangible relic of the steamboat Lancaster, a steamboat that was crucial to this community, that everyone in this community would have known before the advent of highways and cars and every other mode of transportation and commerce, is sitting right here with us today. What the museum would do with it? We have a life-size model of the Lancaster, so we tell her story in our museum every day to people who come in. She's a crucial part of this community's history, which we tell at the museum and we're proud to tell. We would, depending on the weight, I heard 100 pounds, I hope it's not more. If it is more, we'll figure it out. She would be mounted above that model of the Lancaster. So that model has the eagle on the pilot house, and that is the last artifact of the Lancaster. We'd love to do a ribbon cutting ceremony, plenty of talk in the newspapers about the Lancaster coming home to rest in Lancaster, if that makes any sense. And that is all I have for you this evening. I'll be around for questions after or questions right now if you so choose.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, when I first started working for this county and saw that artifact, and I kind of realized what its significance might be to this community, and when I ran into Owen and heard his passion for the steamboat era and telling the story there and seeing the model, it just made sense to me that it doesn't belong in a county administration building. It deserves to be viewed and its history told in a place that does that. So that's why I made the recommendation that I made.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
That was a good idea.
A very good idea.
We're going to miss it. But
Excellent idea.
I've never seen it, but I will tonight.
Jim's got a question.
But I didn't know the story
Yes, sir.
behind it.
Yeah.
Insurance. So we do have an insurance policy through Hubbard Insurance that covers all the artifacts in our museum. We would need to factor that into our insurance, so we'd need to get in contact with them. We would probably have to appraise that artifact. There are not many like it out there, so that would be a task in and of itself. And when I get out there and look at it, I'll be able to see what kind of condition it's in. I've seen just photos.
It's solid gold.
Solid gold. All right, we're going to need a big
It's
insurance
solid, but I don't
policy.
think it's gold.
The incredible part, and Judge Wright or whoever followed after him, what the incredible thing is that it stayed in such good condition. I can see the head on it now. The fact that it's not rotting away and that it's in such perfect condition for wooden art, as someone who deals with wooden artifacts, that's incredible. And that leads us into, would you like to make it a long-term educational loan, a permanent gift to the museum? There's different paperwork for both, so.
My recommendation would be a loan.
Permanent loan.
That way, something would happen, you know, if it doesn't, the museum would
Get it
give
back.
it back to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Is everybody in agreement with
So
that?
the wording would be long-term loan,
Permanent loan?
permanent loan.
Make it a loan until you decide to pay it back.
You said you have draft agreements?
We have a standard policy agreement that we give to anybody who donates an artifact. For educational loan, we have different paperwork, so I imagine I would get in contact with you or with John to coordinate that further.
We'll look at it.
Okay.
So we're not making a motion tonight on this?
Yeah,
Or are we directing you to?
No, I'd like the board to make a motion to grant this to the Steamboat Museum under an educational loan agreement.
I move for that.
All right. There's a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so very much, and we will be in contact in the future, because I'd love to have y'all down to the museum when it's fully displayed.
All right, go take a look at it.
I'm going to. I'll be back.
Thank you all.
Take it with you,
Just great tales.
That's exciting. So, all right, next on our agenda is proposed Department of Conservation and Recreation Scenic River designation for the Caratoman River. And we have with us David Bryan and Josh Bateman to talk to us on that. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's good to be here tonight. We were excited to sit here and listen to all the work at Windmill Point, and congratulations to the board and the staff for all your work, as well as all the other many projects. As park planners, the two of us, myself and Josh, it's pretty exciting to not only see great planning in place, but also things actually being built, coming to fruition, which sometimes when you work in state park planning, it takes a little bit longer. So anyway, so we are both from the Department of Conservation and Recreation, work out of Richmond. And tonight we're here to talk a little bit about the Scenic Rivers program. About, I guess, a month or two ago, we came out with John and Olivia and Bruce and did a little tour around Lancaster and looked at some of the projects that are going on. Looked at the river and again, just here to talk about the program and answer any questions y'all may have. The program is about 56 years old and still going. So we're, next slide, I guess. I'm not sure who's doing the slides. All right, so just what we're going to cover tonight, a little bit background on the program, the process, talk about how a river does get designated as a scenic river, the criteria that we utilize to study the river, what it does do and what it doesn't do. That's usually most folks' concerns or questions, and then any other discussion questions y'all have. Next slide, please. And you can just skip ahead to the next one. All right, so again, the program started in 1970, so we're about 56 years old right now. We've got 72, there was a study back then of 72 rivers and streams, and eventually 29 of those were recommended to be part of the Scenic Rivers program, again, now over half a century old. The first designated river you can see on your screen there is the Falls of the James, which you can see pretty much from our offices in Richmond. And that was in 1972, but the program has grown. We had those initial, 29 streams. Now we have 30 rivers that are over 1,100 miles. and 8 rivers have at least 2 designated segments. The longest one is the Rappahannock, which of course comes pretty close to here. We just had our 50th anniversary, and Josh is going to talk a little bit later about, we've really revamped the program in the last year or two to be a very data-based, and we'll get into that in a second. Next slide, please. So why does the scenic program exist? Why did the General Assembly enact this program back in the 50s? Well, we're here to identify, designate, and protect the rivers and streams whose scenic beauty, historic importance, and free-flowing characteristics make them great resources for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We work with localities from really all across, from Southwest Virginia to the Eastern Shore. A lot of them have been non-tidal rivers, but we do have some tidal rivers that have been designated. These are the sort of the best, you might say. I mean, every single river in Virginia has its own beauty, but we're looking for those ones that are really exhibit the best characteristics and natural and scenic beauty, cultural resources, recreational aspects, and so forth. Virginia today, as you all know, is increasingly suburbanized. You know, more and more people, which is great, but these sensitive, rare, and special areas are really becoming harder and harder to find. So we want to recognize them while we still have them. John. So I want to give you the definition, the official legislative definition of a scenic river. Scenic river simply means a river or section or portion of a river that has been designated as such by an act of the General Assembly and that possesses superior natural and scenic beauty, fish and wildlife, and historic, recreational, geologic, cultural, and other assets. So, like I said, the scenic river part, scenic is subjective, and that's why, as Josh will talk about in a second, we have a pretty science-based way to determine what it is. But ultimately, they're going to go to the General Assembly. If y'all choose to pursue this, in the end, to make the Corrigan River a scenic river is going to be an act of the General Assembly to get there. Next slide, please. So what are the minimum qualifications? We have to have some type of starting point. So first of all, we have to have a identifiable beginning and an end. And there's a lot of ways we can determine that sort of stretch of river. It could be a locality boundary in some cases. It could be a specific take-in point or put-out point where there's a boat ramp or a park or a dam or a bridge and so forth. That's a little bit on the staff of the locality to determine what is the exact stretch that they want to cover. A lot of times with a smaller river, we'll start at the headwaters and go down to a certain point. They have to be at least 5 miles in length. So again, we don't want to be evaluating every single creek in Virginia. And then it has to have, this is really critical, it has to have public access or be recognized in a public canoeing guide. So there's not just the scenic part of it, it's also a recreational river to be enjoyed by the citizens of the Commonwealth. Next slide, please. So here's a map in front of you, and you can see here are, again, we have over 1,100 miles that have been designated. Like I said earlier, the Rappahannock River is the longest of the portions. Now, you may have the question, so I'll go ahead and preemptively answer it. You know, why hasn't it been done down to Lancaster? When we do a river that is bordered by 2 localities, both localities have to agree to basically put forth that DCR does a study on it. And we haven't at this point gotten Lancaster and Middlesex to both move forward with that. But most of the Rappahannock River is designated, and again, you see all the way over to Southwest Virginia, plenty of river spaces that have gone through the program. Next slide. So the process, what does it look like? So initial project scoping, that's when we start talking with the county, talking with the boards and the staff and so forth. That sort of process for here started a couple months ago. The locality identifies a proposed segment of the river that they want us to formally evaluate. And then the governing body, in this case you all, if this was your will, request a formal evaluation. Requesting a formal evaluation really doesn't tie you into anything, so to speak, and DCR will continue to do the evaluation and make a recommendation one way or another, and then it will be up to you all as if you want to pursue this further. We'll do a desktop study and then a field portion as well, where we'll go out and actually on the river, and again, we'll get into those details in a second. Once we finish up the study, there's really 2 results. DCR recommends this is not a scenic river per the definition of the General Assembly, or we recommend that, yes, it is a scenic river per the definition. And then at that point, if DCR's recommendation is yes, this should move forward, we would come back to you all and give you all a report on the river, all the findings, all the scoring, everything else. So again, totally transparent, and you all know exactly where things stand. At that point, you all would be able to request formal designation. The next steps, we have the Board of Conservation, and it's actually the Board of Conservation and Recreation, or the BCR, is DCR's governing board. So we would take it to our governing board and make the recommendation. In other words, DCR staff recommend it, the locality recommends it, and then the BCR reviews it. If they give their blessing, then it moves on to the legislative stage. At that point, the county works with the local senator and/or delegates to sponsor legislation to make an amendment to the existing Scenic Rivers Act, and it becomes an official scenic river. It does have to go through the formal vote, just like any other law, with the House passing it, the Senate, and then, of course, the governor's signature. Then, I would say the most important thing of all is this last part, the locality utilizes the designation. And Josh is going to get into a lot of details about how other localities have used this designation for the good of their citizens, because that's really where the action's at. And we're talking about things like grant applications and so forth. Next slide, please. All right, so as I mentioned, the last couple years, the agency's put a lot of work into revamping the program. I want to give a lot of credit to Josh over here, who is sort of the project manager for Scenic Rivers. Really, we've made it a lot more of a quantitative, data-based, science-based process. Using geographic information systems. We also have, again, still a portion where we go out on the river itself, do a float, do a paddle. In this case, we probably have to do a little bit of both, get out on a motorboat for part of it, kayak for another part of it, to do the evaluation. We really want to make sure that across the board, across the state, as different localities have requested this designation, that we're doing it in a very consistent manner. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Josh, and he's going to get really into the weeds. Hopefully I gave an overview of why we're here and the process, and now we'll get into details of how it happened.
Thank you, David. Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors. So the process of Scenic River designation begins with an assessment. It begins with an evaluation of the river's scenic attributes. And there are 13 criteria that DCR looks at as part of its evaluation. 11 of those can be assessed now at the central office using ArcGIS and GIS data analysis tools. We have data for a wide range of features and characteristics and things along a scenic river segment within the scenic river corridor. But this is sort of a high level of what we're looking at. For each one of those criteria, we have a description of what we're looking at specifically, how many miles of parallel roads is too many, and what kind of points you get for that. But the bottom line is there's, out of a total of 375 potential points, the river segment in question has to score a minimum score of 214. And so when we get to that point, and if you all decide to go forward with evaluating the river, we will come back at some point in time and we'll conduct our evaluation, we'll do the desktop analysis, we'll pair that with the results of the field analysis, and we'll come back to you and let you know how the river scored. But 11 of the 13 criteria are largely quantitative in nature, and it will be what it will be upon GIS desktop analysis. Next slide. There's also two, what I would call more subjective qualitative criteria, and that's landscape quality and overall aesthetics. That is the part that the county controls most directly, because you all will be asked to identify a panel of folks that will be responsible for exploring the river and coming up with a group that will do that as part of a group paddling trip. And I will walk you through the process of assigning a score for the diversity of scenery, the range of views, and overall with the goal of assigning an overall aesthetic appeal score. It's about 70 points there, but they're very critical to the Scenic River evaluation because they really ask the person that's experiencing it to rate the beauty of the scenery that they see. And it's done as part of a group exercise so that no one person's opinion sort of skews the results. We're all going to talk about it. It's going to be part of a discussion, and we're going to come up with a score. And that can mean the difference between whether DCR recommends that scenic river designation for the river segment in question or not. Next slide. So what does designation actually mean? If you look at the statute, there's not a lot in the statute about control or regulatory authority. The Scenic Rivers program was never really designed that way. At its heart, it's a program to recognize the unique and special scenic attributes that make that river special and scenic. And so through that recognition comes certain benefits. When the public recognizes the beauty of something, they want to protect it, they want to recreate on it, they want to make sure that that's available for future generations to enjoy as well. So it does raise awareness locally, but also statewide of the river. It enhances the ability of the locality to advance its goals with respect to recreation and ecotourism. John and I attended a conference this week. We learned a lot about localities who are trying to really focus their economic development efforts on establishing an outdoor recreation-based economy. And Lancaster County is doing some incredible things. I have almost 20 years in local government, and I'm just really impressed with what you all are doing. But there's also a lot of other localities in Virginia that are doing this and making this sort of the linchpin of their strategy as well. And one of the ways to do that is to simply recognize what you have already that attracts people to your county to live, to work, and to play. One of the things that Scenic River designation does do, one of the tangible benefits is there are grants that are administered in our section, and not in our section, in our division, in the grants section, and that, like the Recreational Trails Program, which is a federal program, but it's a pass-through and it's administered, the application process is administered by our division, folks in our division, and also the Virginia Land Conservation Fund, which actually does award additional points when folks are applying for grants for Scenic River designation if the project, that conservation project, is located on that scenic river. And so, but even the RTP funding, if it's on a water trail, water trails are almost seen as scenic rivers. The relationship between scenic rivers and water trails, that can be used to make a case for why Lancaster County or any locality should be awarded funding versus all these other deserving localities that are also simultaneously applying. So it's very competitive. Localities are always looking for an edge. And we think this is something that can be used to give a locality an edge. So it's one of the more tangible benefits, I would say, of Scenic River designation. And if you go back just real quick, John. And also there is a special tax assessment in the code, but it's very narrowly tailored, and I don't know of any localities that have actually availed themselves of it. As far as the benefits of designation at the local level, I was trying to find some localities that are currently actively using Scenic River designation to promote blueways and water trails exclusively. A lot's been written about, and there's a lot of examples of people that are developing greenways and parks along scenic rivers and access to the water. But I believe the Scenic River program at its heart is really about experiencing the scenery and the natural beauty that one encounters when one is actually on the water. Either paddling on a canoe or kayak or floating it on an inner tube, or in the context of tidal flat waters, which we do have those kind of scenic rivers in Tidewater, Virginia, in a motorized watercraft. So, but in terms of freshwater examples, the city of Waynesboro is actively promoting its Scenic River designation to elevate its reputation as a premier river city. They are using it in their marketing materials for both their Waynesboro Water Trail and as well as their land-based trails like their South River Greenway. You can paddle the entirety of the 6 miles in the city limits of Waynesboro, and at the same time, if one of the members of your party doesn't know how to paddle or doesn't feel comfortable in the water, they could walk or bike it along with you on the greenway that parallels the river as well. So it's a pretty cool thing. As you can see from the brochure there, the Waynesboro Water Trail, there's a there's a picture of a kayak and picture of people floating. If you go next slide. And this is a really good piece. This is part of their brochure, but it shows the map. There's parks that they've established at the spacing at strategic intervals so that you can put in and take out and have a 1 mile or 2 mile floating experience. The river doesn't have particularly dangerous segments. There's nothing really worse than a class 1. There is a dam that's class 2, but you wouldn't want to go over a dam at all. So you'd want to put in at Ridgeview Park, take out at the park there and below it, then maybe spend the night in Waynesboro, go to the local entertainment establishments, or the local dining establishments. They have a terrific brewery and dining establishment that's actually an entertainment venue that they have live music at and stuff like that. So they are really actively all in on this strategy of leveraging this scenic river designation. They have our logo up on their website. And then the next day you could put in at North Park and float down the river there. Because it's a class 1 pretty easy. They actually have a lot of safety information on their brochures and stuff to try to educate the public about how to recreate safely on the water. I'm sure outfitters are getting in this game because they can provide the personal flotation devices and some of the training. They can lead people on group paddling trips. A lot of times beginners feel much more comfortable if they're in a group setting where they know that there's going to be someone to help them. But also we learned when we took the whitewater, the class 2 whitewater training, that you have to learn how to self-rescue and do some things so that if you get into trouble, you know what to do and you don't panic. So this is just a great example. I think Waynesboro is probably the best example of a community. And if you go to their marketing materials, I think when you click on their marketing materials, there's a background video that plays, and the first image is people paddling down the river enjoying a group paddling exercise. So they are definitely doing this to create some synergy between nature-based outdoor recreation and the businesses that cater to these activities, and using these investments, these public investments, to leverage as economic multipliers to leverage much more private investment, and really reinventing a place that used to be known as an industrial town, and now it's a place that I definitely want to get out to when the weather cools down a little bit and do some whitewater paddling in the city of Waynesboro. Next slide. But in a more tidal environment and stuff, in like what we find here in Lancaster, there are examples of scenic river designation and water trails. I'm not trying to necessarily give you guys ideas. You don't seem like you're lacking for ideas at all on how to promote outdoor recreation. But if there's some kind of takeaway here, it would be just to be precise in what you're trying to create. So this is the Chickahominy. So actually the Chickahominy Scenic River corresponds to the freshwater portion that ends, that designation ends at the Henrico-Hanover line. It's all part of the Captain John Smith Chesapeake National Historic Trail, but the Scenic River designation, now I happen to know that there was a study done by DCR of the lower tidal Chickahominy for Scenic River designation. I've been with DCR for about 2.5 years. I'm not exactly sure why that was never designated. It was certainly found to be eligible. But it does correspond to this National Historical Trail, which follows the voyages of John Smith on his exploration of the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries. Oh, and it also includes all the tribal villages and the Native American settlements that he encountered and that he included on his famous 1613 map of Virginia. But the Chickahominy Water Trail itself is a component of the larger trail that links public parks, private marinas, access points, and sites of historic interests. I encourage everybody to take a look at this brochure. It obviously was created using NPS money, but there's a list of every single public access point and private access point. There's recommendations in those gray sort of text call-out boxes for short paddle trips that take advantage of both the main channel, which is also can be navigated by motorized boat, but you can also explore those creeks, and there's abundant bald cypress swamps, tidal marshland, lots of wildlife, and including at the lower reaches of it from the Chickahominy Riverfront Park in James City County. So definitely a lot to explore there. If I've done nothing else than whet your appetite to get out on a boat and explore these places and maybe get some ideas, that's success. Next one. And Virginia Beach hardly needs to promote. These are probably the biggest tourist destination in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but it's got some awesome paddling on the North Landing and Tributary Scenic River, and that's actually the name of it. The tributaries are several, but they include several of the largest creeks, including West Neck Creek. The best put-ins are at the Pungo Ferry Landing Park, which is by the Pungo Ferry Bridge that you see there with that beautiful sunset. If you cross the river right there, you can explore an adjacent wetland system that runs counter to, so you can leave, if you're a paddler like me, you can leave the main channel to the motorized boat users and explore the maritime forest of the North Landing Natural Area Preserve, which is a DCR managed property for its natural resources. But there's also there's a really cool put-in kayak launch on West Neck Creek. Now that's above the portion that's scenic river designation, but it's an easy paddle down a pretty straight channel for about a mile, and you get to Indian River Road, and that's where the scenic river designation starts. And then there's a private marina on about another mile down. So you can see the photos of people exploring that. I wish I had a map up there, but looks like a really outstanding paddling trip. And that's just on this scenic river, but they have other opportunities in the city, obviously. Next one. So a lot is talked about these days with scenic river designation, what it means, what types of restrictions it carries. So scenic river designation is not a regulatory mechanism, really. There's a couple of exceptions to that. One is that state and federal agencies like DCR DCR is consulted. If there's a project that involves a corridor crossing, especially a FERC-regulated project like a transmission line, or I'm trying to think of another good example. I can't really think of one right now, but a dam, a project like a hydroelectric dam or something like that. If it occurs on a scenic river designation, if it occurs on a scenic river, DCR is consulted as part of that process and gets to weigh in on that. The localities, of course, can as well, but only the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, that's what FERC stands for, recognizes the scenic river system as important, as something worthy of protection, and DCR's role in that is to review any project, ensure that the qualities of the river are considered during licensing and relicensing of federal projects that are on or cross designated scenic rivers. And we can even do things like suggest alternative alignments and things like that. So there is some powers that occur to DCR for projects that are federal nature, but they're not private development projects. They're not local land use projects. The next slide, I can't emphasize enough. This is pretty simplistic, but scenic river designation doesn't allow public access to private lands. The waterway itself is waters of the U.S. The public can't access it, but that doesn't give the public right to trespass onto adjacent private property. Sometimes it's a matter of educating the public about that and users about the need to respect private property rights. A lot of times it's just a matter of creating public access points in strategic locations to sort of discourage the use of adjacent private lands, because you don't need to. You went in a 1.5 mile float from here to here, and by the time you need to use the bathroom, you're back at a public access point with a comfort station. So it's just, you can address that in some ways through design and planning. It doesn't give the Commonwealth any control over the river whatsoever. And the main thing that I can't emphasize enough is it doesn't give the Commonwealth any control over local land use authority, zoning authority, comprehensive planning authority. I was a planner and zoning administrator for years and years and years. And we do get a lot of, it seems like since I've become the Scenic River coordinator for DCR, every controversial land use that comes along the pipeline in Eastern Virginia and in Virginia, you're going to get the public contacting, not necessarily me, but people in positions of authority higher than me, on a pay scale higher than me, at DCR, asking, the public asking, we oppose this solar project, or we oppose this data center like we're seeing in Hanover. What can DCR do to help us oppose this so that this doesn't impact the scenic river? We have to let them down. DCR is not going to involve ourselves. We're not going to inject ourselves into local land use. That's not the purpose of this program. There are localities that have used scenic river designation, that have cited that in their comprehensive plans to talk about the importance of protecting those natural assets. I don't know of any that have gone so far as to adopt any kind of special setbacks or other authority, but that's totally a local prerogative. DCR is not going to involve, we're not going to involve ourselves in that. That's not the purpose of the program. The program is about empowering localities to protect those places that they love, but also to promote outdoor recreation, promote the importance of visiting those assets. I always say the way you get people to appreciate the importance of conservation is encourage them to recreate on it. Because when you, and get them young, get people going out and paddling and hiking and biking and all those things young, because each one of those persons is a convert, right, to the need to protect that special place. And we don't commercially promote our scenic rivers, but there's nothing to say that localities can't use the Virginia Scenic River designation or State Scenic River designation to promote their rivers to both their existing citizens as well as visitors. So next slide, Nate. I think I'm done. So that's all I really have as far as the next steps for the eastern and western branches of the Corps Toman. It all begins with a request from you all for us to study. I can't promise that the river's going to score 214 points. I don't know what it's going to score. But I do know this. In the end of the day, a scenic river, as you saw in that definition in state law, is a scenic river because it has these special attributes. And there are scenic rivers in Virginia that didn't necessarily score the minimum score, and they're still state scenic rivers, because ultimately, if the General Assembly decides to enact legislation to that effect and the governor sign it, it's a scenic river. So just keep that in mind. Like, we're important to this process, but we're here to help you all move this forward in whatever way we can. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
How long does the process take?
It's really variable because we have to get to a certain point in the process at the time of the General Assembly comes into session. Okay. So there's a step in the process where we proffer or put forward model legislation. And this is not verbose stuff. This is like the eastern or western branches of the Corps Toman River from this point to this point shall be designated state scenic river. But we have to, with all the legislative priorities that there are, it's best to get your local delegate and senator engaged with that and get that to them at the right time in September, October, November. That's going to be something that the board is going to need to coordinate. But the way that works is the step that immediately precedes that is board adoption of a resolution recommending the
I was really speaking more of your part in this, and that's meeting the criteria.
We can conduct the study in probably 3 to 6 months. 6 months would be the most, I would say. Bruce was nice enough to take Olivia and John and myself, so we've actually already done a pre-evaluation of the portions that you can access with Bruce's boat, which excludes, unfortunately, where the water gets a lot shallow when you get higher up in the trib. So we'll probably have to paddle that. Fall is usually a great season, really photogenic. We should get some really good photos. The desktop evaluation doesn't take long at all. It just needs to be prioritized. I probably can do that in a month or two.
Realistically, we'll be looking at prioritizing this for the 28th General Assembly.
Yes.
I think that's reasonable.
Just one other thing I'll add is, because we also have our board to go through, and our board meets 3 times a year, so we have to catch them at the right time. So, yeah, the steps are there, but again, the internal staff study, pretty quick. Some of these studies have taken a little bit longer. As Josh knows right now, we're going through 2 other studies where the rivers have been low and we haven't been able to get on them. Here that's not really a problem as a tidal river. But for some other ones, like literally we can't get on the river because the water's so low this year. So it's pushed back some things. But again, once we get through the study, the big steps are our board, the Board of Conservation and Recreation, and then hitting the General Assembly at the right time.
Yeah, David mentioned an interesting point. We've got 2 ongoing requests right now, but they're on the North Anna River, which is, of course, not tidal, and on the Hardware River in Fluvanna County, also not tidal. Those are streams that don't run very heavy at all when it's been as dry and we've had the drought that we've had. So we've had a real challenge of even floating those rivers to explore them. Now, in the case of the North Anna, they rank so high that they don't really need much in the way of points from those qualitative criteria. But nevertheless, we're trying to work with them right now to do drone shots and stuff like that to see where we can see from publicly accessible properties. But it's a challenge on those freshwater streams. Here, I don't see it as being a significant challenge. As long as you can put together the group to do
Is there
it.
an ask for the board tonight on this, or?
Yeah, I think what we're asking tonight is, do you all want to proceed with this process? And again, any authorization that you direct me to take tonight doesn't lock us into anything at this point. It's just, I mean, these guys want to know, do you all want to proceed down this path? Have them do the desktop evaluation and then come back and tell us how it scored.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I authorize the administration to request that DCR evaluate the western and eastern branches of the Caratona River to determine eligibility for inclusion in the Virginia Scenic River System.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would add that we would have to put together a local stakeholder group to go through this process. Bruce has already volunteered his time. Olivia and I would obviously be on that group. If there's any of you or other members of the community that you think would find some value and could provide value to that effort, I'd ask that you'd send them our way.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a safe trip back.
Yes.
All right, next on our agenda, we move into our public hearing section. And our first public hearing is an application for special exception by Brian Brown and Irene Brown to operate an unhosted short-term rental at 4592 Windmill Point Road, Whitestone, Virginia, tax map 3677A in District 3. And Andrea, we turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicants have provided the following documentation and information in support of their special exception request. They have provided their septic system documentation for a two-bedroom house from VDH. They've provided a parking plan, a certificate of occupancy, and liability insurance in the required amount of $500,000. This is not a pre-existing short-term rental, and the owner is seeking approval prior to the official launch of their short-term renter later this year. Once they're approved, the owner will then complete the 2026 registry. They're also aware of the need to submit transient occupancy taxes and tax returns monthly as part of doing that. This issue has been advertised and adjoining property owners notified as required by law. To date, there are no complaints or comments on file regarding this short-term rental application. Well, they are not here. I don't know if they're here online. They may be. And that's it, unless you have any other questions.
All right, any questions for Andrea? All right. If not, we shall now open the public hearing for this special exception application. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to comment?
Media want to comment?
All right, Glenn, nobody online?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. We scared everybody away.
All right, we shall now close the public hearing. All right, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this special exception for tax map 3677A for a special exception for operate a short-term unhosted rental.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, Andrea, now we've got the application for special exception by Trent L. Stauffer and Janet Stauffer to operate an unhosted short-term rental at 101 Wyona Drive, Whitestone, Virginia 22578, tax map number 40A-1-5 and 40A-1-16 in District 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant, again, has provided some documentation or the required documentation to support their request. Their health department septic system documentation is for a 4-bedroom house. They've provided a sketch for their parking areas that showed adequate parking areas. They do have a certificate of occupancy that was actually just recently issued. There is an exception on that certificate of occupancy that the ground floor is not to be used as habitable space. They have also provided liability insurance in the required amount of $500,000, and they are represented by a local real estate agent, so they are exempt from the annual registry, and they provided that form for that. This is an existing short-term rental, and the property is hosted through Airbnb and VRBO. Therefore, payment of the transient occupancy tax is automatically collected and sent to the county via the hosting platforms, and the applicant is aware of the need to manually submit monthly tax returns and payments for taxes collected directly. This issue has been advertised and adjoining property owners notified as required by law. To date, there are no complaints or comments on file regarding the short-term rental special exception application. Thank you. And again, I'm not sure if they're online.
All right, gentlemen, any additional questions? All right, hearing none, we shall now open this public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak on this matter? Glenn, anyone online?
No, sir.
All right, we shall now close this public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve for tax map 40A15 and 40A16 this unhosted short-term rental.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item on our agenda, yes.
May I raise an issue before we go further?
Yes.
While Ms. Pruitt and Ms. Hall is still here, I want to thank the Rappahannock Record for such a good article in the paper concerning the R2, Legacy R2, that we have coming up in August, joint meeting with the Planning Commission. And I want to especially recognize Ms. Pruitt and Ms. Hall for the way they conducted the interview and the information they gave is accurate. It provided the information that I think any property owner would need to know, and I hope that it answers people's questions, and I thank the record for presenting that in such a manner. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda has been withdrawn by the applicant. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak on this? If so, they can now. I do not see any. Is there any online, Glenn?
No, sir.
All right. Is there anything you need to comment, Olivia?
No, sir. The applicant made a formal request to withdraw the application earlier today, so I have let the opposition know that it has been withdrawn, is off the table.
Looks like you got the word out well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is the proposed conveyance of a .18 acre portion of the county-owned tax map 28-93C containing the new school wastewater pump station to the town of Kilmarnock for the provision of wastewater services to the new school site per the approved water and sewer agreement between the county and the town. And I turn that over to you, Don.
All right, Mr. Chairman, it was a year ago, July 31st, 2025, when the board entered into the water and sewer agreement with the town of Kilmarnock. And per that agreement, it says that once the wastewater system has been constructed and the connections have been made, the pump station parcel and all improvements on such parcel and a force main will convey by deed to the town. It also says that any easements necessary for the town to access the pump station and force main will convey by deed of easement. Once those deeds and conveyances have been completed, the town will provide continuous and uninterrupted sewer services from the pump station to the Kilmarnock sewer facilities in perpetuity. and the town at that point will be solely responsible for the operation, repair, maintenance, and replacement of those conveyed sewer assets in accordance with the town maintenance regulations and standards. Now, even though all that language was in that agreement that has been executed by both the town and the county, any conveyance of county-owned property cannot occur without a public hearing. So that's the purpose of this public hearing tonight. The deeds and associated surveyed plats are currently being finalized. I got one late this afternoon, needs some revision. Jim has prepared some draft deed language. So that's all in the works, but I'm asking you tonight to formally approve this conveyance of the pump station property and authorize the county attorney and myself to execute the required documents to comply with the provisions of that water and sewer agreement.
All right.
And I understand the system's online.
What's that?
The pump station's online.
Pump station is online. We had to go through a series of processes to make all this happen, the last of which was a certificate to operate from DEQ that was received yesterday, and the pump station was activated this morning, and so far, so good.
Are there any comments or questions before we move to public hearing? Okay. Hearing none, I will propose that we open this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to address the board now? Seeing none, is there any online, Glenn?
No, sir.
All right, seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that the county convey eighth acre of county-owned land, tax map 28-93C, to the town of Kilmarnock per the existing water sewer agreement.
Okay.
And authorize.
And force main and the necessary easements.
With force main and necessary easements.
Okay. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, that concludes our public hearing section, and the next item on our agenda is a consensus docket.
Minutes.
Move for approval.
Yeah, that's consensus.
Yeah.
All right, there's a motion to approve for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next thing is their consideration documents and salaries and invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the expenditures for the month of July as the following. Total invoices, $4,747,548.79. Total payroll, $503,791.99, for a total of $5,251,340.78, of which loan payments were $89,609.85, and capital improvements, $3,615,380.79.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of equalizing the compensation board funded additional 0.5% raise recently approved in the state budget. And Don will present to us on that.
Mr. Chairman, Lancaster Board approved their budget in May. The state did not approve their budget until June 29th. So when the General Assembly was first considering pay raises for state employees and compensation board employees back at the beginning of the General Assembly session, one house favored a 2% raise, the other side favored a 3% raise, and when they finally adopted on June 29th, they wound up being 3.5%. So I don't know how that happened, but that's the way it happened. You all had adopted a 3% raise in May, so I'm asking you to equalize that as the state has done for all of its constitutional officers and their comp board funded staffs. That the state raise is effective August the 1st, and as you know, in the past, whenever compensation board raises have been given, the county usually matches those raises to equalize those pay increases for the other office positions that are not funded by the comp board. We have 48% of our full-time staff that are comp board funded and 52% are not. As a result, this total funding request would be $34,750.50, but $16,680.24 would be reimbursed by the comp board, so the net local expense would be $18,070.26. So I'm asking you to do like you've done in the past and match what the compensation board has done through the recently adopted state budget.
All right.
Yeah, they can't do their job in their regular session, so now they have to legislate through the budget.
Well, I don't know how you take 2 and 3 and wind up with 3.5. But
They probably can't tell you either. Anyway. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this request for the .5 raise that was approved in the state budget. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
If we just bring a delegation of the State General Assembly down here to study our system, maybe they could improve. I don't know where we want that now.
we'll ask Katie to take that back to
She might not want to have to do that. All right, next thing on our agenda is Don's going to present to us about approval of a change order number 1 for the Carter Cove Park project.
Mr. Chairman, back in March of this year, you awarded a contract in the original amount of $2,135,229.35 to Zandler Incorporated for the Carter Cove Park project. As we all know, as construction progresses, there's always change orders. We have a change order before you tonight based on 4 different items. The neighbor has a remote drain field that is located on county-owned property. Part of that change order was to document the existing condition of that remote drain field pre-construction to guard against any possible future damage claims arising after the construction of the park. There was also additional debris found from an old buried structure, which required removal from the site, and a drainage structure was revised to use a smaller grate size to prevent children and animals from getting body parts stuck in those grates. There was also a credit for a water line that's no longer needed when an existing active aqua water line was discovered on that site. Bay Design Group, after site visits and review, has recommended approval of this change order, and you have that copy in front of you. And so I'm asking you tonight, the amount, let me see, I didn't put that in the, yeah, I did. The amount totals $9,979.70.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the request. Is there a motion to accept this request?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept this first change order at Carter's Cove for the amount of $9,979.70.
All right, everyone's heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next thing on our agenda are appointments for the month, and I would like to move to appoint our county administrator, since he needs another thing to do, to the Middle Peninsula Juvenile Detention Commission. His term expired June 30th. It was a 4-year term.
He's too old to be detained there.
All right, so y'all have heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other appointments for the board at this time?
I don't have an appointment, I just have a board comment.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you. I just had the opportunity to represent you all at the NACO Annual Conference in New Orleans, as well as all of Virginia counties as the sole Virginia board representative. A couple of things I want to just bring your attention to that's NACO's been tracking is a lot of the preemption bills that y'all saw that were attacking local authority this year were nationally really driven by national big politics. So they tracked a bunch of those bills, so a lot of those were happening nationally, so it's good to see that what's happening here in Virginia is is a bigger national problem than just here in Virginia. A couple other things that worth noting. They've developed the My County Explorer, so it has a lot of data on individual counties, so we can go in and look at a lot of unique data points for our particular counties and our neighboring counties and compare ourselves, as well as a couple of programs they're doing. I'd like to see us try to follow along and participate in those. In November, they have the Green Light Initiative, and they light up their government buildings, local government buildings with green lights to represent and honor veterans during the month of November. And then they've developed a lot of civic education for local government. And I think in April, when we have Local Government Month, we should partner with our schools to have Local Government Week. And they have a lot of educational activities and materials that they've developed that we can partner with our schools and our constituents here to have a local government week or month, and just educate our citizens a little bit about what local government does and the roles that we play and the importance that we have. That's all I have for now.
Thank you. It sounds like a good idea. And thank you for your continued work on the NACO board on our behalf. All right, before we move on, just checking to make sure, is there any other appointments at this time? Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's not an appointment. I think I'll have on my two spots, I'll have some recommendations at the next board meeting.
Okay.
I have two in District 5. I meant to ask John a question during the park updates. I think WTBR was scheduled to meet on site today. Did that happen?
Yes, sir, they did. WTVR CBS 6 out of Richmond is interested in installing a camera at Westland Beach to use on their broadcast, particularly during the weather. They met with Tony Ashburn and the folks at the marina today. I do not know what the results of that meeting were, but I'll find out and get back to you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, that's exciting.
And Don, you said we were working on earth cams at their other parks, locations?
Yeah,
like Harper's Creek and...
We had a meeting with EarthCam installer last Thursday at Harper's Creek, and we have to install a GFCI circuit on the structure closest to the boat ramp on Nate's building, and I've asked Old Orchard Builders to get that going. And as soon as that GFCI outlet is installed, then the EarthCam installer will come back and install it. We've already got the camera. It's just waiting on that GFCI circuit.
All right, sounds good. All right, next thing on our agenda is the county administrator report.
Got two quick things for you, Mr. Chairman. If you look over at Glenn's portion of the dais, not dais, but over there where he is, you'll see a young man sitting to Glenn's left, and he may look familiar to you. That's Seth Ruby. He was an intern with us last summer. He was a rising senior at Virginia Tech in computer science at that time. He got his bachelor's degree in May and expressed an interest in coming back and working for the county, so we worked that out. Seth started as Glenn's assistant middle of June, and so Glenn now has some help. So Seth, welcome aboard. Glad to have you, and I know Glenn's glad to have you, as evidenced by the smile on Glenn's face.
I've seen him smile that much.
Smile often.
Yeah, I've seen him smile that much.
We have lots of special projects we can get to work on.
Seth, welcome aboard to the team. Glad to have you.
And go Hokies.
And the second thing I would like to mention, and
Now, do
Jim,
you have a bias in hiring for, no?
I will, Jim alluded to this a little bit earlier about the Legacy R2 district coverage in the paper, and just want to remind everybody that on August 10th, there will be a public meeting at the community library in Kilmarnock, public information session. There's an ad in the paper, today's paper, about that, and the mailings are going out as we speak related to that LR2 rezoning. So it's a big rezoning. In my tenure here, we've never done anything like this, but as Jim mentioned, Andrea and Olivia have done a great job in putting this process together. So there will be a joint meeting at your August 27th meeting with the Planning Commission related to the public hearings on the rezonings for LR2, Legacy R2 District.
All right, thank you. Is that all, Doc?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, I know we have the necessity for a short closed meeting tonight, so I will let you
Read away.
read away.
I move that the Board of Supervisors enter into a closed meeting for one, personnel per section 2.23711A of the Code of Virginia as amended. 2, acquisition, disposition of real property per section 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia, and legal matters per section 2.23711A of the Code of Virginia.
All right, we will break for our closed session.
Katie, thank you again for
Thank you,
coming.
Katie.
Yes.
The Board of Supervisors adopt the following certification resolution. Whereas the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors convened in a close meeting on July 30th, 2026, pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote on the motion to close the meeting to discuss personnel, legal matters, and acquisition, disposition of real property in accordance with section, I need my glasses, 2.2-3711-A-1, thank you, comma, 2.2-3711.A.8 and 2.2, thank you. We're gaining on it, guys. And 2.2, man, this is really good now. 2.2-3711.A.3 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by Board of Supervisors that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting to which this certification applies. And 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. Before a vote is taken on this resolution, is there any member who believes that there was a departure from the requirements of number 1 and number 2 above? If so, identify yourself and state the substance of the matter and why, in your judgment, it was a departure. Hearing no statement, I call the question. Vote. Mr. Bellows.
I certify.
Mr. Lee.
I certify.
Mr. Palin.
I certify.
Mr. Smith.
I certify.
Mr. Geezy, I certify. The certification resolution is adopted.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Gosh, that one was a lot.
Mr. Cornwell, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can this board,
Thank you.
can we adopt a simplified version of that
I will
certification?
check again, but last time I checked, the answer was no.
Yeah, I asked it before,
Yeah, I would vote for that.
But if I can do it, I'll try to write one, but
I mean, if we approve it ahead of time, so when we are approving it again, it's really the former version, but in a simplified form.
okay, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
But that's pretty much out of the code.
Okay.
And that whole thing is printed in the minutes, too.
I'll try not to forget my glasses next time, guys. I'm sorry.
difficult. We don't have the lighting up here to read it.
Yeah, the
Put that
lighting
light
is-
on, Glenn. Put those lights on.
Thank you.
Glenn said he ready to go home.
Glenn is ready to go home.
When they turn video, it messes with the video, so they keep them off. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'm just gonna let you read that for me.
So that, y'all,
I actually have,
I don't think y'all voted on the motion to adjourn, but anyway.
No, we didn't. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Sorry.
All in favor, get up and leave.
Yeah.